Just relax and feel the board. That's one of my goals. Just like try to chill on the bottom turn and the way up and explode on the lip. That's one of the waves that clicked and everything that I wanted to do in a wave came together. The fins are offset too and you're like, what the heck, dude? What am I supposed to do with this? But once you hit the water, everything turns out to work really good. Twins help you a lot by cleaning up your surf. I couldn't do a proper rail turn, and nowadays it feels just like a lot easier to put a board on the rail.
All right, well, welcome to the Basis Surf Podcast. I'm super psyched because we have one of my favorite free surfers. We have Victor Bernardo. Oh man, I just love watching you surf. It's so interesting. Just got the smoothest, sickest style. And so psyched to just get into it with you all. So first of all, just thanks for joining. I'm super excited to chat with you.
Yeah, thank you for having me. I'm stoked. This should be fun.
Awesome. Yeah. We're going to get all into your style and surfing and boards and all that, but just kind of wanted to start from the beginning. How did you get into surfing?
Oh man, I started surfing when I was like 4 years old. Can't really tell like when you're young like that when you
Yeah.
started surfing, but it was around 4 years old. My dad and the whole family used to walk to the beach and spend the whole day at the beach back in Guarujá, São Paulo. It's a little town on the coast of São Paulo, Brazil, obviously.
Yeah.
And I, yeah, I started surfing super young and early in my life. And back then, I already knew what I wanted for the rest of my life. And I just kept going and just fell in love with it right away.
Yeah. Was your dad a surfer as well? Did he encourage you to surf, or was it did you find it through friends?
Yeah, he used to surf with all his friends and how he's very passionate and like he has that surf stoke in him. So he used to always be in the water. I mean, not used to, but he still is. I just went and visited him like last year and brought him boards and stuff, and he's still super stoked. I just got a message today from a friend saying that my f- my my dad was out in the water for a couple hours, and he has that surf stoke in him. Like he's psyched,
That's awesome. Hell yeah.
especially with the new boards that I brought him.
Oh, nice. What did you get him?
I got him a Bongia Dark Hearts and a Twinsman Dark Hearts too, from
Oh man.
album obviously.
He must be very excited to have those. That's awesome.
Yeah.
So he brought you into surfing at the age of 4 and immediately you like fell in love. Do you remember like your first wave or anything like that? Or is it just so young that you don't even remember it?
Oh, I don't remember my first wave, but I do remember a couple of my first like memorable moments in surfing. Like I don't know, my first pulling to a barrel, that having that vision and stuff, and yeah, it was sick because my whole family used to like just walk to the beach and have a grand old time. Like my brother, my cousin, uncle, this guy that my dad knew for a while, and um, I used to call him uncle too, but he wasn't my blood like related to my family, but I used to call him uncle too, and yeah, just a bunch of like good people around me, and that's how I'm here today.
Nice. And so what was it like growing up in Brazil and surfing near Sao Paulo? Like how were the waves? What was your neighborhood like? I mean, why don't we start with just like, what was it like growing up over there?
hmm So I used to live in a really poor community and a little bit far from the beach.
Hmm.
So we would walk to the beach and it would take us maybe like, I don't know, 30 minutes, 20 to 30 minutes. And yeah, around 20 minutes, I would say. And on the way to the beach, I would always like be all stoked and wanting to get there. And I would surf for hours and hours. And on the way back, I would be super tired. So I would ask my dad to carry me on his shoulders and stuff. And there were so many like open lots that had trees like to full of fruits like guava and coconut and stuff like that. And so we would always like stop by and pick up some stuff, some fruits and stuff off the trees and head back home with the boys.
That sounds magical. That sounds like
And
incredible memories.
yeah, it was epic. I When I was like 6 years old, my mom was taking me to school, and somehow she went into a bump. I was on the back of the bike, and my foot went into the wheel,
Hmm.
and we fell instantaneously, and I broke my foot
Oh no.
by doing that.
Hmm.
And I was out of the water for a while, and I remember being so like sad and like wanting to be in the water so bad.
Hmm.
And I remember that I took out the cast before the doctor told us like me to do it, just because I was so psyched to surf.
Just wanted to.
And yeah, I
Yeah.
was just wanted to get in the water so bad. And yeah, I just after that I just kept going every day and went to a different school, which was really close to the beach. So when I would get out of the school, my mom would have like a little sandwich for me and my board already. So I would go straight to Malufi, which is like a beach, very famous beach in Guarujá. They used to have a bunch of big contests, like big venues there.
Hmm.
And it's like little channel right next to the rocks, which the wave breaks right at the same spot every time. So it's like a little right into the channel, and that to me was like a wave pool, like like just finishing a wave and sitting on the channel and getting sucked back out and just doing that loop over and over again. um that's one of the spots I surfed the most when I was young. And yeah, just living in Guarujá was amazing because we have so many different spots to go to, and it's all super close to each other, like
Hmm.
um just a lot of beach breaks and stuff, but very different um waves in some formal way. Like I don't know, in that stretch of maybe 10 or 15 miles, we would have like seven, six, something like that, different spots to surf.
Oh really? And how
Even
how
more.
consistent is it? Like, is it? I mean, whenever I go, I mean, I've been to Sao Paulo and I've been to Rio. I love Brazil. I mean, it's one of
Hmm.
my favorite places. Like the way the people are. Like, I mean, the thing that blows me away about Brazilians is I'll just be like, it'll just be like a random. I remember I was like chilling at a bus stop or something like that, and everybody was just doing nothing, and then somebody started playing music, and everybody in the bus stop just started dancing, and I was like, "This is sick." The way people are here is just amazing, you know.
Yeah, it,
Um,
some good vibes down there for sure.
yeah. But there's apparently it seems like there's a lot of surfers like live in like proper Sao Paulo and they still go to the beach and
Yeah,
they still
so many.
surf.
Yeah, during the weekend, the beaches get packed from like a bunch of tourists that want to go to the beach and just sunbathing, and
Yeah.
also a bunch of surfers that live in São Paulo. I have so many friends that live in São Paulo. They always hit me up like around Friday saying,
Yeah.
"Hey, I'll be able to surf late afternoon, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. On Sunday, I need to make it back by lunchtime because it's my mom's birthday or something." Like
Yeah.
it's like they
Right.
all get super psyched about surfing, and it's just like a mission for them, but they still make it happen. They
Yeah.
look forward for the weekend every day of the week just to
Right.
surf during the afternoon.
Oh man, that's great.
But yeah, but during the week, it's like super uncrowded at the beach town I lived, um, which Guarujá, and it's super constant, like consistent.
Is it?
Like
Mm-hmm.
a lot of options, and just whichever way the wind was blowing, there would be a little spot to surf, and just like just super fun waves and rippable, perfect
Mm.
for getting better, and um, also warm water. So I used to surf for so long every day.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting because, a lot of times when people talk about the waves in Brazil, I mean, obviously they're not like on the same level as say like the waves in Hawaii, but it sounds like it's actually still pretty consistent and good enough that you can practice a lot and get pretty good. Because sometimes people are like, oh, the waves in Brazil aren't that good, but what you're telling me is that they are pretty good.
Yeah,
So,
no, it's super fun, and it's not only in São Paulo, Rio, Espírito Santo, Bahia, and then down south, up north, Fernando de Noronha. If you don't know, you gotta look up into that too. So many options, and back in the days, I used to be like, oh, I can't wait to travel and just go places to surf, you know. And during the pandemic, I was just like, wow, home is where it is. Like
hmm,
I'm scoring every day and it's just like so many options to go. Like I spent a lot of time down in Florianopolis too, which is like where all a bunch of the professional surfers are from, like Iago, Matheus Erdi, and just so many other surfers that are from there. And yeah, super fun waves. I mean, if you look up Michael Rodriguez, he posts stuff every day, like
hmm,
today's clip, and it's just like head high, like sometimes
hmm.
bigger or smaller, but just super rippable and perfect for how would I say it? Just getting better.
Yeah,
Yeah,
got it. And you probably missed that warm water a little bit too, huh?
heck yeah.
Nice.
This it's summer there right now, and mostly summers summertime is like super bad and small,
Hmm.
but this summer has been pumping. I just seen my friends post like Thiago Camarão, Michael Rodriguez, like I said, Renan Puga, so many other rippers that are like just posting stuff every day, and I'm like, wow, I'm just sitting here on a rainy day, Oceanside. I wish I was there.
Oh no, that's rough. So
Yeah,
rough. I know, man. Well, I'm sure you're gonna go on a trip soon and get some sunny waves.
heck
So
yeah, I can't wait.
yeah, so obviously you're younger. You're surfing a ton. And how did you get into competing and all that?
So my first comp was I was 6 years old,
Well,
super young, and the waves I remember the waves were super big and just stormy day out at Tombo Beach in Guarujá, and it was the city contest. They had like four stops every year, and I remember going in the middle of the heat and just being like, I don't want this because it was just like big, and I had a bad wipeout, and I just gave up, I think. And I remember my dad telling me, just go back. You can still make it and stuff. And yeah, I lost first seed ever. I did. I wasn't good for me. And a couple years um after that, or like even the same year, or when I was 7 or 8 years old, I started doing more and more, and I became the champion of the city thing on my category, and the one above, and just like the state. We had so many venues that um we we would have contests like all the time, and it
mhm.
was fun. It was just, I don't know, my only option to being surfing back then. So I just kept doing it, and still did it for like, I don't know, till I was 25, 24 years old, and I had a couple other sponsors too. When I was around 9, I signed up with Hang Loose, which is like the biggest brand of Brazil. Um, they had and still have Fabio Gouveia, which is like the best style we have in Brazil, and I just looked up to him so much when growing up, and I got to do some trips with him, and it was just a life goal I had, and I was super stoked on doing that. And just like, when you have an idol and you look up to him and you start traveling with him and
Mm.
being part of the same program and stuff, you're just like, I was a little Grom just frothing on that. And his son too, Ian Gouveia, we traveled a lot together. And yeah, English paid for me and to my family to move out of the favela, the poor community we lived in,
Mhm.
to be closer to the beach and closer to my coach, Paulo Mendes, um, at Tombo Beach, and it was just like a couple blocks away from the beach. So I got to surf um and train with them even more, and also got sponsored by a private school.
Hey everyone, it's Van. Hopefully, you've been enjoying the podcast. Hopefully, you've been listening to some good stories, getting some good tips that are helping you improve as a surfer. If so, make sure to subscribe to the podcast, leave us a review. It'll only take you literally a few seconds, and share it with your friends. That's the best way you can support me so I can continue to create awesome new content for you. So, thanks.
And yeah, that was pretty sick too because the we had the school tournament.
Hmm.
So every school had the surf team, and I was part of the surf team too for a while. And yeah, I'm talking that in between 11 years old and 18, I had that whole like support behind me. I got sponsored by Billabong when I was 18, and um I started doing the QS when I was like around 16, 15, 16.
Really young, yeah.
And yeah, I was super young and had a couple results, but never
Yeah.
got to win a QS event or anything like that.
Well, even going back in earlier, do you consider yourself to be somebody that was just always naturally gifted, or is it something that you had to work on?
Um, I'd say a little bit of both, you know? Like
Yeah.
I had so many opportunities to like improve on my surfing and get better at it. I think there were so many talents back then um that I used to go head to head during heats and stuff, but
Mm.
they didn't have the support I had. So I would say a little bit of both. I did have a lot of support behind me and stuff to keep me going and get to where I'm at today.
Right. But it seems like that support came from the hard work that you put in, right? You came from the favela and you put the hard work, you started winning comps, and then that got you your sponsors and that got you support, but it doesn't seem like it was handed to you. It was something that you really had to work for in a way. But although
Yeah,
your
I can.
your surfing talent is maybe that, that there's definitely a natural element to that.
Thank you.
But you mentioned that you work with a coach. So like, what was working? I mean, he was working with you from the beginning when you were really young, or
Yeah, I started working with Ademir, which is like a coach that helps a lot of people that don't have the support. So like a bunch of the kids that I used to surf with from the favela I grew up in, and they used to train with him too, but they just like discontinued surfing and started doing other things. Some are in jail, some are dead already, and it's so sad just to think about that because I was part of that same little group, and just how life takes people different ways, and how you submerging yourself into something good, like good comes to you too. And I think I was one of those guys that my dad used to like just keep me out of trouble, keep me out of like being out and about late at night and just like doing the right things. And yeah, just props my dad for doing that, and super thankful for him.
yeah,
A bunch of my friends are just like doing other things. Like I said, I lost a few that passed away, and some others are in jail or something, like
it's
just
heavy.
into something really bad. But yeah, just my dad was like the best. He did his best and kept me out of like all of that shit. And yeah, that's how I ended up here today.
Sounds like you did a pretty good job, and I guess you are lucky. That is incredible support to have. To have a dad that is into surfing, supports you in your dreams and all that. That is incredible support. Um, cool. So you had this coach, and then you had another coach, right? Who you
Yeah, yeah. So Ademir was the guy that I started coaching with before I signed up with Hangloose. And then when I signed up with Hangloose, I started coaching with Paulo Mendes, and he just had so many good surfers that trained with him for so many years. He does this since like 1980s or something. Like he's like the guy to be with, grow up and have your career um like I don't know how I would say it, not designed, but like he knows where to put you and like how what to do to get you like the perfect support to keep you going.
Mm.
And it wasn't different with me. He trained, he still trains Jesse Mendez and a bunch of other surfers that are made or either made the tour, like are doing the QS, like Alejo Muniz, Ian Govea, Jesse. He used to train Junior Faria, Heitor Pereira, and so many other like really good surfers. And so he he put me in a really good path by getting me the right support and putting me into English classes when I was like 10,
Mm.
12 years old, and yeah, he was and he is the guy like I look up to, and I'm super thankful that he did all of that.
Yeah, it sounds great. Must have been so good to have somebody to support you like that. And what was what were some of the things that you learned from him that you think had the biggest impact on your surfing?
Oh, we would just film all morning. Like it was every other day. It was like Monday, Wednesday, Friday, or something that we used to go to the beach and film um a whole sesh and try different boards and just like go over the clips and correct things and just like a bunch of things that I learned from him. And just I don't know, just my whole surfing. He helped me with my whole way of surfing, like my style and stuff. I obviously I had everybody has a natural style, but to correct and to like make it all dialed in like the way you want takes a while and takes a lot of work. So
Yeah. Well,
he was
were you naturally did you naturally have such good style?
thank you though. No, I remember having my back arm like super high up and not really like enjoying the way I used to surf, and we corrected that for sure. And yeah, Paulo helped me with my whole career and of course my way of surfing too.
Hmm. So, what would be your best advice to somebody that's trying to improve their style, right? Like, get footage so you can see what else, what you need to adjust. But is there anything else that you'd recommend?
Yeah, besides watching your footage and going over the clips, I would say just relax and feel the board, move your feet around, like see what gives you more speed on the board. Usually, farther up on the board is where you gain more speed, and then when you want to do turns, you scooch that stance back and step all the way back in the tail, and just use your upper body. Mentalize. He used to tell me that a lot, and I would always be like, that sounds so weird, but nowadays I'm like, he makes sense. Like when you mentalize and you envision yourself doing something, you can go out and make it happen, and it's so true how everything turns out to be. And
Right.
um yeah, just a bunch of little details like that. Also, trying different boards. Don't get stuck on like just the normal conventions thruster that you have at home. Just like try a tweenie, try something different that will give you a different feeling, bring you that surf stoke. I feel like nowadays I have like all these different boards, and each board gives me a different feeling, and I get psyched to try them all and just like stay in shape and just stay out there. I think
Yeah,
it's one of the main things in surfing.
for sure. Well, we're definitely gonna want to get into your boards, but I think what's so interesting. I mean, I'm curious. Like, were were you always so focused on style? I guess you mentioned that you had your hero and he had the best style, and he was like Tom Curran of Brazil, and so that must have been a big influence where you're like, oh, I want to surf like him. Is that kind of how you developed your style, or how did you think about it?
I looked up to so many surfers. I still do, and that's one of the things too. Don't get stuck by watching one person only. Like, take a little bit of every surfer you like to watch and just like work on your own. But like Fabio, a guy like Fabio Gouveia had his tucked knee, and his back knee was very like dropped to his board and like tucked in, and just so much flow and style, like so many other surfers too, like Tom Carroll or Andy Irons or Joe Mick, um, Tom Curran, just Aki, Bobby, just so many surfers that you look up to. I looked up to and learned from, and I just try to like do it on my own, like just kind of like create my own hero, I would say.
Hmm.
Even though it sounds cheesy and like weird, but I always kind of like combined all of them to like, I don't know, just looked up to and just learned from him like by watching a lot of movies and stuff.
Yeah, well, it's definitely working because I think you're a lot of people's surf hero. You're
Thank
definitely
you.
mine, one of mine for sure.
Thank
I
you.
mean, I remember
Appreciate it.
there's this one wave that you caught. You were on, I think, a red Bomdia, and it's like a well overhead wave, and you just do like just huge like re-entry, boom, like sliding on the lip, and you come down, and then you do a second one, and then you go for another one, but then you do a little bit more of a carve, and then another
Mhm.
re-entry, and then an air, and I'm just like, and it was so explosive, but at the same time, it just looked like you were chilling. You were just like floating, like levitating. I'm just like that that explosiveness and the casualness and the flow was just like I was like, oh my god, that's
Thank
that
you.
that was so sick, you know?
Yeah, that's one of my goals. Just like try to chill on the bottom turn and the way up and explode on the lip and combine that with carves and airs and just blow tails and just I don't know. So it's not that top to bottom only surf, like kind of like I don't know, just
Right.
go for it.
Yeah, for
If you
sure.
fall, just go for another wave and try it over again. But
Yeah.
that's one of the waves that clicked, and everything that I wanted to do in a wave came together. And yeah, I know which wave you're talking about. That was one of my best waves I had in my life. And
Oh
yeah,
my god.
it was a
That
good combo. Thank you.
such a good combo. And when you were competing, were you surfing like this? Because I know that when you're competing, there's like different criteria. They're not scoring you for your style. Like, how did your surfing change, or what was it like when you were competing, and then how did it change after you started free surfing and writing for album?
I think when you're competing, I think I used to do a similar surf. Obviously, the boards helped me a lot. The boards I ride today is like just providing me a lot of speed and flow toward like in between turns, and it's crazy how the asymmetrical boards work because the wave you're talking about, I was on a quad asym, and to think about that, you're in a crooked board and
Right.
you're surfing normally,
Yeah.
and yes, like that's one of the big things that made me change my surf a lot too, is trying out this crazy boards, and it just makes a lot of sense having a lot of hold on your heels and a little bit looser on your toes. on the tip of your foot. Uh, and yeah, just a lot of progression towards like when you hit the bottom turn, it provides you a lot of speed, getting a couple clips in the same sash. But I think I used to surf pretty similar. It's just the boards that I'm riding nowadays feels a lot better and um provides me that surf I imagine. I mentalize and yeah, being loving going to different spots and surfing different waves nowadays and just cruising and
Yeah.
who knows, maybe get back to competition pretty soon.
Oh, that would be sick. I would love to see your surfing on the CT. That would be amazing. Well,
Thank you.
so the Bomgia, do you want to just describe it a little bit? I mean, or I can do that. How would you describe it? Like, what was it like actually? Maybe this is the question. Like, when you were working with Matt to develop this board, like, what did you? How did the board come about, and how did you end up, creating it and all that?
Well, he actually had the board almost pretty dialed in. I just tweaked a couple little things, but not even that much. I was his lab rat. He just keeps throwing the boards and seeing how it goes, but he's very like detailed and um the way he thinks about the boards and how they end up working is just crazy to me how like um I would say like sometimes you put something in the paper and it turns out to be is like totally the opposite what are you thinking
Hmm.
and what he does he makes it he designs the boards and puts it on a machine and cuts it and finishes it and when a bunch of times he a bunch of the boards I got from him I grabbed it and I was like this feels weird but yeah let's see how it goes like the
Yeah.
Bungia for example was one of the boards that I was like this feels so weird but uh okay let's try it out.
Yeah. Had you ridden an asym before that, or was that your first time riding an asym?
That was my second. First time ever riding a asym board was Matt's board, and
Yeah.
it wasn't a bungee. It was a disorder. Went down to Mexico, and he shaped me. The two first boards I had from him was disorder and Twinsman.
Mm-hmm.
So I remember, I even went through the photos and videos yesterday. I remember having this board looked super weird looking board and just waxing it up and watching the waves being super good and I was just like I really hope this board works because it's firing out
Yeah.
there.
Right.
I don't want to be stuck on something that doesn't work.
And the
And
disorder, that's the one that has the nose that's crooked too, right?
yeah, yeah. So
Wow.
the
Yeah.
tail and the nose, and it's like you look underneath it, and the fins are offset too, and you're like, "What the heck, dude? What am I supposed to do with this?"
Yeah.
But once you hit the water, it's just everything turns out to work really good, and you're like very mind blown by how it works. Like
Right.
his
Yeah.
rails are so taped out and just so perfect shaped and it's just when you put a board in a rail it's just I don't know to me I feel like I couldn't do a proper not saying that I do nowadays but I feel like I got a lot better at it but I couldn't do a proper rail turn and nowadays it feels like it all works out super differently and just like a lot easier to put a board on the rail than I used to like just I don't know. The way he shapes his boards is
Mm.
just crazy to me, but it all
Yeah.
works out.
Wow. So it really augmented and helped your surfing. I'm assuming there's just so much more speed, compared to the old thrusters that you used to ride,
Yeah, that
Um,
too.
And just for my community, when we're talking about asyms, and I'm trying to visualize the disorder right now, but you're gonna have like a longer rail line on your toes and probably a single fin, right? Just one fin,
Mm-hmm.
because the idea is you have more leverage and control pushing on your toes and more
Yeah.
rail line, so you can kind of get a little bit more squirt there. And then on your heels, which you're not sensitive, it's harder to control it. You got shorter rail line, so kind of tighter arc.
Mm-hmm.
But then you also have those two. It's basically like a quad set on your heel, right? So
Yeah.
you have more traction on that side. And then the nose with the disorder, right? You have the nose because your heel side is like shifted up. The nose of the disorder is also like shifted up on the left side. So it's like a trippy looking board, but I don't know. It seems like it's working for you. And my buddy actually, I'm actually going to be going down to on a surf trip, and I'm going to be bringing my buddy's asym. I've never properly like given it a shot. It's like an asym twin, so like
Mm-hmm.
we're gonna see how it goes.
Oh yeah. I hope you like it. It's just super fun, dude. Yeah, just by looking at it, you're like, I don't know if this thing works. But once you hit the water, you're like,
Yeah.
wow, this thing is pretty sick.
Did it feel natural? Did you have to like adjust it all your surfing for riding it?
Um, no, I mean, you get used to it, but most of all, um, it just the board adapts to you and you wanting to do stuff that you weren't able to on a thruster, you can do on these boards. And like I said, I couldn't do like a proper turn on and put the board on the rail and carry that speed. And with these boards, it allows me to do it, and it's just so fun. And yeah, I hope you enjoy trying it out.
That's insane. Because
So
I don't know, I've seen some of your turns and it looks like you know how to do them. There's this one other turn that really pops out in my head. I don't know what you were riding like this blue board, but you go like it's kind of like a almost vertical approach, and then you carve, but then you no hands carve, and you're just going like all the way around, like the amount. It's the sickest looking wrap, and I see other
thank you.
pros doing like those no hand carves, but there's like this jerkiness to it. But
Mhm.
yours was just smooth, and you came all the way around, and like a little slide at the end too. And I'm like, oh man, that thing looks
Thank you.
insane, insane.
So yeah, so fun. And um talking about the Bongia board, the Ace and Quad. So he already had the board designed and stuff. He was actually a board for Kelly's later to try it out
Hmm.
on his electric acid test or something, but he called it out because he was injured or something. Um and right when that happened, I got an album, and he was like, try this thing and see how it goes. And my first board that he shaped as a Bongia, which was called the Goat
The goat.
back then, and it was a 5'7", which is like super small for me. I'm 5'9.5", so I was like, this thing feels tiny, but let's see how it goes, And it did
Hmm.
not feel small at all, like under my feet, and if just like I said, it provided me so much speed off my bottom turns, and like just carried a lot of speed and hold towards my turns too, and just like the changing switching directions too. And yeah, like the bottom of it, I think I might be wrong, but I think it's single to double concave, and with the offset fins, it just turns out to be like a really good board.
Hmm.
And yeah, I hope whoever listens to this gets to try one, and hopefully they have the same you have the same feeling I'm trying to explain to.
Yeah.
Um, One of my friends I grew up with, Jesse Mendes, I trained with him my whole life, and we shared the same coach. He just got a few, and he's trying out some boards, and the messages that I get from him is just so funny because I try to explain to people, but they don't get it. Like it's hard
Yeah.
to like see that happening when you're listening from someone, but once you're like have the board under your feet, it's like a total different feeling. And yeah, Jesse's super frothed out on his boards, and he's just like messaging me and talking about how they work and stuff. And I'm like, yeah, dude, I told you they work.
That's sick. Yeah. Well, so you said the other board that because you rode the Bomgia and then the other one was the Twinsman, right? Did
Hmm.
what was your experience riding twins? Like, was it a weird, because this is the other thing. I've never properly given a twin a go. So I'm going to be like, oh man, it's a twin and an asym. Like, was that a trip for you? Like going from thrusters to twins? Like, was that a weird experience or an adjustment, or how did that feel?
I grew up surfing on a bunch of different boards. One of my shapers back then, had a bunch of crazy boards too. Not crazy boards, but just like old school boards that he used to shape, and he shaped back then, like back in 2000, not even not 2000. What am I saying? 1970 or something. Like I am like a very curious surfer, so I would always like surf on my dad's board, or like take one of the boards from his like museum rack and be like, I'm gonna surf this. And he's like, okay, but make sure you don't break it, like it's an
Yeah,
old
yeah.
board. But yeah, just I used to I surfed my whole life on like Alayas and single fins, quads,
Uh,
twins. So that helped me a lot by getting to Matt's boards too. And yeah, just I was very open minded in terms of boards, just like wanting to try it out and see how the boards go. I feel like twins help you a lot by cleaning up your surf, because you don't have to like have that um you don't have to stay, how would put it? I feel like you don't have to force it a lot, like as much as you surf on the thruster, like it gives you a lot more speed than a thruster. So you just chill and place your foot at the right spot, and the board is gonna generate a lot of speed itself. You don't have to put a lot of effort to carry speed, to gain speed.
yeah, that sounds like, and speed is like the name of the game with surfing, right? That's what we're all trying to do. Wait, so what is the
Yeah.
and so how did you even start writing for album? How did it all happen?
So I moved moved here to the US, but I was living in the desert with my wife's mom. And by living in the desert, I mean like desert. I was in Palm Springs, and a surfer to be living in Palm Springs is a bit hard.
Yeah.
But we came here with no money, so I had to work and make money to like be able to rent a place and start like just get on our feet and just pay for bills and stuff. And so her uncle hired us um as on his company, Carousel Catering, back in Palm Springs. So he worked for a few months, and we were finally able to move out and live in by the ocean. I knew I could be a professional surfer, like just keep going as like pursuing my career and stuff. My goal was to make money and jump back on the QS and try to make heats and qualify. But
Mhm.
I also wanted to just live off surfing, like however it would take. So yeah, nowadays I started I ride for a couple of companies that support me, and I'm super stoked with that. With album, I went on a trip to um north of here, so like C Street and Ventura, like all that, Rincon and stuff. So we were on a day trip with my wife and a few of my friends, just surfing all day, and I was posting stories and stuff. And I used to talk about album with my friends, and even when I left Brazil, I told one of my friends, Dario Costa, that I wanted to get one, at least one of album boards
Mhm.
for us to have and share and just like ride. And when it all happened, I messaged him instantaneously. I was like, dude, look at what is happening. Like, I just got a message from Album. They responded to my story and they were talking about how it would be fun to like for me to try out their boards and like just be a free surfer and stuff. And I was just like mind blowing. I called my coach, I called my dad, and I was just telling them how this is like a life goal and a dream to me, and it was all happening, and I was like, wow, this is crazy.
Oh man.
Yeah, and it gives me the chills because it's crazy how things goes in life. Like it's not always what you want to be. Like
Right.
of course it was one of my goals to like one of my dreams to be a free surfer and just like travel places to like shoot and make movies and stuff. But I never would I would never think it would be possible. Like just by like being in a contest environment, I didn't think I could switch it like that and just like yeah, I had no sponsor, so I was like, hell yeah, like I'm working to make the QS and maybe like qualify, like maybe like what are the odds? Like I need to make heat and I need to stay focused and I need to be in shape to make it all that happen. So now I'm not saying it's impossible or it was impossible. I have had a couple friends that made it happen and stuff, but it wasn't one of my like only things that I wanted to do for the rest of my life, you know, like I worked on my style and my whole life and I knew that I could do both, but I didn't know I could only do free surfing and stuff. But yeah, like nowadays I'm just living the dream. I'm super stoked and
Yeah.
super thankful to Album and Matt for believing in me and just supporting me throughout my career and pursuing like helping me pursue my dream of surfing for living.
And that sounds like such a roller coaster going from, being stuck in the desert, being, 2, 3 hours away from the ocean. And then now, then you're like, oh, I'm riding for album and probably having way more fun going on surf trips, filming that than like grinding on the QS in tiny
Grinding on the
waves, right?
QS. Yeah, exactly. And yeah, by signing with Album, that gave me a lot of um I don't know how I would say it in English. Um like a lot of I would say like maybe in the spotlight. I don't know.
Hmm.
Does that make sense?
Yep.
Like
Yep.
I had a couple of sponsors offers and stuff. I wrote for Banks Journal for a little bit, and after that, I had a couple of offers and ended up signing him up with Caton, which it makes a lot of sense for me. It's like a very, very heritage brand that is like from way back in the days. One of the first, or one of the first, or the first one to ever make a board short. And it's just crazy to me that they're still going and how they're super tight and it's just like a small family running it and they're super passionate to surfing and yeah, just having that on like supporting me, that whole brand supporting me and like whenever I want to talk to the boss, I just drive up to LA and talk to him and stuff, you know, like it's so tight and so good to have that support.
That's epic. Wow. And I got one last question for you because we got to work towards closing up. I've been following your Instagram, and I always see clips where it's like VB secret menu, and I'm like, what is this secret menu? What is this thing? What is this board?
It's a thruster.
It's a thruster.
Yes, it's a
What is going
thruster.
on?
It's my occasional thruster go-to. It's like my occasional surf that I have. Like maybe I surf it twice a month. I don't surf
Wow.
it very often, but
It,
I like it, and I don't know. Like I said, maybe when I jump back on the QS, I'll be riding it.
it's a secret. You have to hide it from Matt. He's like, you can't ride thrusters. This is not album. But I
Yeah.
mean, I think that would be a super I think that'd be a very interesting board because Matt obviously he shapes for incredible surfers like you guys, but the reason why I think I appreciate his boards as well is it seems like he's also geared towards like how do I help everyday surfers perform well, right? So it's like what would his take on a thruster be, Well, and one
Yeah,
for you too, like
yeah, yeah. So this
so what is
board, yeah, so this board is like flat deck, pinched rails, beak nose, single to double to V bottom. What else? Not as much rocker as a standard thruster, so it carries a lot more speed than surfing on like mushy waves than regular thrusters, which is normally has a lot of rocker, and it's just like when you think about it, you step back on a board that has a lot of rockers, you're lifting the nose, and it's like this is stopping the water from flowing, and a board with like not as much rocker, it flows better in the water. So yeah, that board is pretty sick. I didn't ride it as much as I wanted to yet, but because there are so many my like other options
yeah.
that he keep coming up with, and just trying out different boards and stuff. But it's a super fun board. I like very responsive, like his other boards, carries a lot of speed. Super easy to put on rail because of the pinched rails and beak nose and stuff. So yeah, it's super fun.
Mm.
One of my main things on a Thruster too that I like is like a lot of hold,
Mm-hmm.
but it also has a lot of release because of the V bottom and double concave and single. It's just so crazy to like. It's a lot to think about, but once you pick it up and you put it under your arm, you're like, oh, this makes sense. Like
Yeah.
I'm gonna enjoy surfing this. So yeah, it's super fun, and yeah,
When do you
it's
ride the thruster versus, your other boards?
so my go-to every day is the Bungia. I
Yep.
ride that pretty much every day. It's we have a couple options of it, like different varieties of it. So I'll start with the the daily board, which is maybe 1 or 2 inches smaller than your daily thruster board. And then yeah, it provides you a lot of speed and just super fun board, easy to get into the wave because it carries the volume all the way up to the nose and has a big nose, and the asymmetrical fin setup, tail and stuff. And yeah, it holds a lot because it's a quad. So, but it also has a lot of release to it because it's offset. And
Right.
yeah, so we have that, and then we have a squished version of it, which is a 5.6, and then it has the Vasper, not the Vasper concave to it, which is like two very deep like all
Mm.
the way from the middle of the board all the way to the bottom, like very deep concave or channels
Mm-hmm.
to it.
Yeah.
And it's a little bit wider, a little bit thicker. It also has beak nose, pinch rails, asymmetrical tail, asymmetrical fin setup, and it's just super fast and carries um a lot of momentum in between turns and stuff. And also the Bongia step up, which is a round tail. We recommend you to ride it maybe an inch bigger or 2 inches or even like 10 inches bigger than your standard thruster. Um, and that you can make it whatever size you want. And it's symmetrical tail but asymmetrical fin setup,
Hmm.
which is mind blowing.
It's so crazy. Yeah.
But it
Okay.
works really, really well. Like the other board too, it's single concave to double, and then asymmetrical fin setup, beak nose, pinched rails. Carries his rails like carries all the way to almost the end of it, but then
Yeah.
he like it's just so sick the way he shapes his boards. and the way they look and the way
Yeah.
they feel too. Um,
Right.
but yeah, those are my go-to, and then sometimes I take my thruster out.
Well, I want to see you like destroy the QS and then take the world. You're gonna get the world title in trestles on that new thruster. That's what I want to see. Just like take them all down. You're gonna
That would
have
be
to.
super funny. It's fuck, it's so hard to do that, but that would be super fun to like do the QS again and see how these weird bowlers go and stuff. How the judges would judge me and stuff too, you know.
Is there a part of you that wants to just see you go back and actually compete and see what happens?
Sometimes when I watch contests and stuff, a little bit. So
Dude,
I wouldn't.
if you get back, if you started competing again on those boards, oh my God, I feel like everybody would tune in and would be like, let's see these alternative boards, and Victor versus these normal boards. That would be the sickest thing, man. You totally should do it just for fun.
That
Maybe
would be
just for
fun,
fun.
man. Yeah. Thank
Oh my
you.
God. Well,
Thank you.
one last question. If you were going to give one piece of advice to, your everyday surfer to improve, what would you give them? What would you say to them?
I think I said it before a little bit.
Yeah.
Just chill, try out some different boards and stuff. Don't get stuck on that standard thruster that you have. Try out some different stuff because there are so many options out there, and it's just crazy to think that you're surfing that same board every day when every board has a different um day for it, you know, like if the waves are a little bit mushier, I'm gonna take this board out. If the waves are a little bit hollower and stuff, I'm gonna take this other board out. So don't keep trying to make that one board work in every condition, you know. Like there are some boards that will do that, that will still be fun, but you're gonna have so much fun trying out different stuff, and yeah, just getting that surf froth, like froth again. Like I feel like nowadays I have that constant surf. I'm super psyched to get in the water every day. Like yesterday was super rainy and cold out, no one out, and I still went out because it was just I just wanted to see how the board would work and just have fun, you know, like just yeah, enjoy surfing, chill, and
It's
yeah.
epic. All right. Sounds like I need the entire Bomgia quiver, is what it sounds like to me.
That it's super fun, dude. I think you would have a lot of fun on it for sure.
Nice, man. Well, any last shout outs before we close up?
Yeah, just to all my family, the people that support me, all the people that always send me messages, and all the viewers of my clips, and especially to Matt for providing all these crazy boards, Caton, Moonglade, just superfoods that always also supports me with clips and their products, which are really good for you. Some really healthy potters and stuff. Um, yeah, the wetsuits. If it wasn't for the good wetsuits from Faro, I wouldn't surf as much as I do here in Cali because it's so cold and I'm not used to it at all. And they make me feel super comfortable. And yeah, um, who else? Clear weather shoes. I have really good support from them. Brandon and his brother are super dialed in on their shoes, and it feels amazing to have good slides and shoes under my feet. Um, and full wax for sure. I wouldn't.
Oh.
Yeah, full wax is the secret. If you hate full wax, come on, guys, it's doing it wrong. Full
That's
wax
the
has a,
secret, right?
it's the secret, dude. They have the special. It's very detailed on they're very detailed on their wax. So each temperature you take out, you surf in, it's for different it's like specifically, when you're like you can surf the tropical in different places and still
Yeah.
work, but with full wax you have to surf on the right temperature for the right with the right wax, and it works out really good. And slowly introducing it to my friends here in California that are stuck with the other wax producers and stuff, and
Yep.
they're loving it. So yeah, just give it a go on the right temperature, and you won't regret.
Epic. Well, hopefully your dad is ripping on the all those album surfboards that he got. But thanks for joining, man. I appreciate it. It was a pleasure.
Yeah, thank you. I'm stoked, and yeah, I can't wait to go back to Brazil and visit my family. I haven't visited them in a while. Maybe do a trip with my dad this year. Looking forward to doing a trip with him to Mexico or something, and just bringing him some boards so he can try it out. And yeah, just keep going with the surf stoke. And yeah, just
That's
that's pretty much it. Thank you for having me. This was fun.
Hey everyone, it's Van. Hopefully you've been enjoying the podcast. Hopefully you've been listening to some good stories, getting some good tips that are helping you improve as a surfer. If so, make sure to subscribe to the podcast, leave us a review. It'll only take you literally a few seconds, and share it with your friends. That's the best way you can support me so I can continue to create awesome new content for you. So thanks.